All right, next is the TDP report. So the TDP report, we're looking at TDP performance measures. So basically, this report came out of some research that was done a few years ago through the Center for Urban Transportation Research, where they looked at performance measures from the overall practice that have been utilized in Florida TDPs and around the US for short-range transit plans. And they came up with these list of TDP performance measures to exclude operations and maintenance-based performance measures, easy to access to TDP performance measures for existing and alternative scenarios. So we want to be able to see at a very high level, basically at the system level, our population access, employment access, service characteristics, productivity, and efficiency. So what this reporting allows you to do is categorize each one of these performance goals, these categories and goal areas, and then compare them side by side. So on the left, you see the RTS annual TDP summary, where you have scenario 1 and scenario 2. So essentially, the goal area is listed here. We mentioned that population access, employment, service characteristics, productivity, and efficiency. And then the performance measure specifically in the second column, and then side-by-side comparison of each one for each scenario. And you can have as many scenarios in this report as you wish. You're not limited to 2. So basically how this fills in, and this is an example from an existing TDP where you're comparing the base year scenario existing system to the proposed changes. So again, these are the same kinds of goal areas that were included in a TDP that were generated from TBEST. So again, this TDP report fulfills some application development contained in the FDOT TDP handbook. So just as a reference for you, the summary metric, the population access, employment, service, and productivity and efficiency metrics, all of those are fulfilling a specific TDP application requirement as described in the TDP handbook. Okay, so let's just create a TDP report. And this is a report that whenever you're submitting to FDOT, they're going to be looking for this type of report to come out of your work with TBEST, but in general, they want this type of assessment in your TDP. Okay. All right, so I am on the 5.3 TDP report. We're creating a TDP summary report, and I'm going to go to step 1. So we want to just close our existing spring 2025 scenario. So I'll close that out. We're going to go to the reports, and we have our TDP annual summary here. So we want to select our Gatorville transit system. And in that, we're going to select spring 2025, our no build and constrained plans. So all 3. And what you'll notice is that we define the service area by county. So we're going to be using a service area here. So again, this comes back to, defining a service area for the transit system. We did that yesterday so that whenever we're running this, by default, what we define for the transit system will show up here, right? So you're not guessing as to what the transit system, what the service area is. It is in our default policies. So again, it's selected just Alachua County. We could change it if we wanted to here, but we're going to use it. Notice that the transit walk market capture distance is 0.75 miles and not the Title VI distance, because this is a little bit different. This is what FDOT is recommending as your market capture distance specifically for this report. You can change it if you wish, but this is the default setting. And if you're submitting to DOT, then this is the number that they would expect. So let's just click Show Report. So it'll take maybe a minute to generate this because it has to go through and summarize each scenario and then build that out into the report. All right, great. So it finished. And what we see is our performance goals, goal areas, our performance measure listed over here to the left. And then our scenario 1, 2, and 3, our spring 2025, TDP 2035 no build, and our constrained plan. So what we see is that in our spring 2025, our population served at 0.75 miles around the routes is 185,000. It grows to 197,755 in scenario 2, the no build, and then even more in our constrained plan. So we have to kind of say to ourselves, does this make sense to us? Because at 185, that's fine. And then our no build, all we did was grow the population and employment based on the TAZ growth rate. So it went up from 185 to 197 in that 10-year span around our routes. And then we added a new route in our constrained plan. So that going up by 3,000 makes sense as well, because we probably are serving about 3,000 more people with our new route. And so that makes sense to us as well. So each one of these you would go through and say, does this make sense to me, what I'm looking at? And is it something that will play out and be something that DOT can understand? So each one of these you should definitely review, make sure that it looks right. And then when you're ready, you can just export this to Excel and then just say this is our TDP report for Gatorville. And it will open it up. And certainly once you have it inside of Excel, you can, like I normally do is just, add some borders to it. Of course, you can make it look however you want to, borders or no borders, and, a little more polished if you need to. So yeah, so it's just here for you to put into your TDP and very easily summarize all your information in one report and provide it to FDOT. All right, so I'll save that. And we can close the TDP and close the TDP report.